I'm Meredith and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm so excited that you found me, and if you're returning, I'm so grateful you've decided to come back and watch more. I love all things luxury. I love luxury shoes, I love luxury handbags, luxury lifestyle and vlogging, and if they're things that appeal to you, I hope you'll do me a massive favor and hit that subscribe button down below. Hitting that subscribe button costs you absolutely nothing and means the world to me, so I hope you'll help me out. So today I'm doing my holiday Q&A. So I put it out there and said, do you guys want to ask me any questions about the trip that I just had to London and Paris? I know that Dayle did a Q&A on her trip, and Lisa from Luxury and Life in the Middle did one from her trip. I will link both their videos down below for you. And I'm like, is there anything you guys want to ask me? And you were really generous and sent me through a whole heap of questions. So I'm going to be answering them for you today. So I'm going to start with the questions that I got over on my YouTube community post. You will only see my community post if you are subscribed to my channel, and if I'm doing Q&A, that's generally where I will put it, as well as over on Instagram. So if you're not following me over on Instagram, then I will throw up my handle for you as well so that you can come follow me over there. So let's start with these questions, and there are lots that are similar, and I will try and move through this as quickly as I can, or else it's going to be a really long video. So the first question comes from Victoria from Accounting for Luxury. She's got a fantastic YouTube video, a YouTube channel here. So I will link her channel down below because I really love Victoria. She's just a lovely, lovely person. So she asked, is there anything you wish you'd done differently in planning and packing? The planning was fine. I had no problems with the planning. I have a great travel agent for the most part, and Dayle had done a lot of research, so I just went with the flow. In terms of packing, I don't wish I'd done anything differently. I wish I was a different person. So I'm someone who takes far too much, and I know that, and I wish I could change, but do I really want to? I don't know if I really want to. I wish I could want to change. Does that make sense? So I'm perfectly happily traveling the way I am. I understand that sometimes it makes it very hard to travel with me or for me to get around. But for the most part, I like choice, and I like doing things on holidays that I don't have to do when I'm at home. So when you travel and you have children at home, your life is very different at home. You have to do laundry, you've got to get dinner ready, you've got to do all these things. Now, when Dayle and I were talking about where we're going to stay in places, she likes Airbnbs because she likes to do laundry while she's traveling so she can keep her luggage light and have more of a capsule wardrobe. She likes a kitchen so she can make her own food and go out and do that. I don't want to do any of those things on my holiday because I do them all at home for my kids all the time, and for myself and my husband. In fairness, my husband cooks in our house, but there's still a level of, I'm hungry, mum, I'm hungry, I need something to eat. So I don't want to do any of those things. So I'm perfectly happy in a hotel because I can get room service, and I'm happy to travel with a whole heap of stuff so I don't have to do laundry. But our lifestyles at home are very different, so it makes sense that when Dayle and I travel, we have different priorities in those areas. So I don't wish I had done anything differently. I just wish that I would want to pack less, if that makes sense. So Liz1266 says, how would you rank the houses most to least favorite to shop and why? Any tips, advice, hacks for luxury shopping in Europe? So in Europe, I would say if you're going to a country where you get a VAT refund, then do your shopping there. Obviously, it's always great to get a bargain. I would say that there are houses that are certainly cheaper in Europe, and especially Paris where we were. So Louis Vuitton, absolutely way cheaper. Fendi was way cheaper. I think Dior was a little bit cheaper. Chanel was about on par, I found, but you got the VAT refund. So yeah, in terms of my least to, and Hermes of course was cheaper. So in terms of my favorite to least favorite houses, it's like asking me to choose my favorite children. My favorite house is Louis Vuitton, always will be, always has been. It's my first love, so that's not changing anytime soon. We had great experiences at Dior and Chanel. My experience at Hermes was, yeah, there are questions coming about that, and I'll talk more about that. And I didn't buy anything in Fendi in Paris, so I wish I had of now, because there's some unboxings down there that I probably could have picked up over there and save myself some money. But anyway, but Fendi in London were amazing. All the stores in London were amazing, I've got to say. So yeah, in terms of my favorite, it will always be Louis Vuitton. Scarabege. Sorry. I think we're all eager to find out how you pack all your luxury items. How do you pack Chanel bags with pictures, please? I don't have pictures of my packing. Strangely enough, I don't take pictures of that. For me, it's just a big game of Tetris. I'm someone who's super organized, and I like to I like to Tetris things in and find ways to fit. I did take an extra duffel bag. I knew that there was a really good chance I was going to need an extra suitcase coming home. I flew first class, so I had 64 kilos of luggage I could check in, and there's no limit on how many bags. So I had 3 bags, and I came in at 62 kilos of checked luggage. Plus I had then onboard luggage. So I'm betting that I probably had about 75 kilos of luggage all up when you take into consideration stuff I had on the plane and stuff under the plane. So it really is just a big game of Tetris and making it fit. There is no rhyme or reason. I don't have a special skill for it. I just make it work, essentially. Okay, so Jodine Pause 5818 says, did you feel safe on your travels? Would you take more high-end luxury everyday bag next time, or would that make you feel like a target? Thanks for sharing your travels. Your holiday looked amazing, especially the LV house. Thank you. I think I'm probably really naive when I travel. So because I live in Australia, and where I actually live is quite far out of a major city, I'm quite rural. Everybody knows everybody here. You notice cars that don't belong. Everybody talks to everybody. So I think even in Sydney, it's very safe. Like, you don't do dumb things like walk down dark alleys on your own at night. But as long as you are, you know, in well-lit areas in the middle, like, it's just safe. Like, I don't ever feel unsafe. I never feel unsafe in Australia. And because of that, I think it makes me very naive when I travel, because I'm just someone who's just like, I'll just take it with me. Like, I think it'll be fine. And I stay in high tourist areas where there's lots of people around, so I don't ever really feel unsafe. A lot of people talked to me years ago when I used to travel to New York on my own a lot, would go, oh, aren't you scared? I'm like, not really. Like, I just do. And I think there's also a level of confidence that comes with that. So I assume nothing bad's going to happen, and I carry myself in a very confident way. And I think that probably helps a little bit with deterring that. So I carried several luxury bags on this trip. I carried a Longchamp bag a lot, which I found really comfortable, and yes, would be considered less luxury, most certainly, than some of my other ones. But that was more for convenience than anything else. I knew that there was a very good chance it was going to rain. Longchamp is a nylon, less concern about my bags getting damaged. So I don't really take it into consideration. I look more at functionality and what I want to carry over if it's a matter of me feeling safe. I just do. And that probably makes me really stupid as a traveler, but I guess it comes from living in this, you know, environment where I do feel really safe all the time. GGGG asks, what are some non-luxury items or experiences you had on your travels that brought you joy? Good question. Just meeting everyone, all the other YouTubers, that was an amazing day. I had such a great time spending time with all of them, and that was really, yes, we were in luxury stores, but the act of meeting people is not a luxury experience generally, and that was one of my favorite moments. I got to see my friend Lily, who used to be my sales associate at Fendi here in Sydney. She now lives in UK permanently, and we got to catch up with her, and I adore Lily, and it was so fabulous to see her. I was so grateful she came to meet us for dinner, and she is just a fabulous person, and I was so grateful to see her. So that was a really great experience. I just enjoy the wander, like the wandering around, and I never get enough time to just do that. Dayle and I had some time on the Tuesday in Paris where we kind of just walked around. We did a lot of walking that day, and that was really lovely just to see different things, and the weather was amazing. So yeah, I think just being in the moment and experiencing it, and I think the people that you get to see or meet along the way are the greatest luxuries that you can have when you travel. Like, that's the most important thing, those experiences, because they're the memories you have. They're the things that you keep in your head forever. Moldol 314. How much extra space did you need to bring home all your purchases? I'm headed to Europe next year and wondering how much I'll need. So it depends on how much you're going to buy, obviously. I always have capacity for a third suitcase. I know that I'm probably going to blow out. I always take 2 suitcases because predominantly I travel first class most of the time. So I always take 2 suitcases, and I will generally always allow for 3 on the way home, just for good measure. I am not someone who balks at excess luggage, so if I have to blow out to 4, I will blow out to 4. I have no worries doing that. I think excess luggage is well priced considering it comes back on the plane with you. So yeah, if you plan to do a lot of shopping, take a pack down duffel bag. My husband has one that I always take with me with an extra lock, and it's just like one of those army duffel bags, really. It packs down completely flat, and I end up throwing all my laundry and clothes in that so that it is really pliable, and I put all the things I want to take care of in my hard-sided cases so that they don't get damaged. So just take a spare bag. It takes up like this much room in your suitcase, and it just allows you that flexibility on the way home. You enjoy a lot of luxury in your trips, such as, oh sorry, this is from Sam 3015. You enjoy a lot of luxury in your trips, such as flying first class, eating at expensive restaurants, and staying at nice hotels. Was there any luxury or upgrade or famous luxury restaurant bar that you felt was a waste of money or was fine but you wouldn't do it again? What luxury extras made this trip special for you? So stuff that wasn't worth it. For me, first class travel is always worth it. I like having a shower. I like having a door that I can close. I like being removed from everybody. That's who I am as a person. I am not naturally a social being, so I like having space on my own. And the shower is just amazing when you're, tired and you've been traveling for a long time, and we're in Australia, everything's a long way away. So first class travel is always worth it for me. It won't be for everybody. In terms of things that I spent money on, I wish I had spent more money at the London hotel and got a bigger room. I did struggle with the space in that room because I had so much luggage, and I wish I would have got a suite. But I was like, it's only going to be a few days and we're not going to be there. But it's been a long time since I've stayed in just a room, and I realize now that I have too much stuff even when I travel. So yeah, I wish I would have spent more money there, but the hotel was lovely. Things that weren't worth it. The Moulin Rouge was one of those things that I'm glad I've done. I won't ever do it again. I don't ever feel the need to do it again. But it was certainly an experience, and I think you should do it if you're in Paris at least once. What else? So yeah, I feel like it was a really well spent trip. Like, I don't feel like I wasted any money anywhere. There are areas I wish I would have spent a little bit more money. I wish I would have thought, and my travel agent, knowing me, would have realized that what we needed was a car at the train station in Paris, someone to pick us up, because I had all that luggage, and you saw me struggling with that in Dayle's vlog. And she couldn't help me. She couldn't leave her luggage. So and I most certainly never expect anybody to help me. I will make do, although people were very kind, including Dayle, and did help me with my luggage, but I would have sorted it out myself. I go in knowing that. But we got off the train and we got to the end where you come out and there's all these people standing there with signs, and I was like, I'm an idiot. I am an absolute idiot. And Dale's like, what are you talking about? I said, I get transfers everywhere I go. Like, I always make sure there's a car waiting for me. Yet I didn't do it in Paris at the train station. It didn't occur to me. And my travel agent, who knows me very well and has booked many of my trips, really should have known that that's something I would have wanted. So yeah, that was something I wish I'd spent money on and wish I'd thought of before we went. Angela Keeling 8908, did it give you anxiety having to navigate all the luggage there and more on the way back? It doesn't give me anxiety. I certainly am prepared for it. I go in knowing that this is a problem of my own making and I need to deal with it, and that it could be stressful and I could be trying to negotiate this all on my own. But it doesn't give me anxiety, but I do give myself a long lead time. Like, I am the person who is there when check-in starts. So I aim to be there well ahead of time in case I run into any problems. The train, I will admit, did give me a little bit of anxiety because I knew that I had to get on and off a train. And apart from that, I feel like I was pretty well prepared for it. The train, there was no way to fix it. There was no way to make it different. It was what it was, but I was certainly anxious that morning. Melly loves bags. How do you safely get your goodies home? I have faith in the airline, which is probably a really stupid thing, but I have faith that my bags will make it to the other side, and if they go missing, then they have air tags in them and that they will be tracked down. I have to have faith. If I go into every situation like that thinking the worst, I would never go anywhere. So I always go in thinking that it's going to work out and it'll all just arrive at the other end. And so far, touch wood, to this point, I have always had my suitcases come out the other side and had no issues at all. So yeah, I go in assuming it's going to be okay. What is your favorite? Sorry, Andrea Brown. What is your favorite purchase from your trip? Did you buy any gifts for others? Gifts for others. I bought my kids Harrods bears, and my husband got a watch. I bought my mother a Christmas present. And I think that was all the gifts that I bought while I was overseas. I don't do a lot of gifts anymore. Like, I used to bring home a whole heap of stuff for everyone, but I don't know, it just feels redundant when you travel yearly. Like, do they really need another fridge magnet? Do they need another whatever? My husband really wanted this particular watch, so I was more than happy to get that for him. And then what was my favorite purchase from the trip? What was my favorite purchase? Well, my Birkin, obviously, which is up here, is definitely a favorite purchase from the trip. And what else did I buy that I absolutely loved? Oh, and my Maria Tash earrings, which I really, really love as well. So they were also a favorite purchase of mine. Okay, No Foo Loves Luxury, who I think also has a YouTube channel here, so I'll link her down below. Can you explain how the tax works in and out of Australia? How does it work when you bring back bags into Australia? So let's attack this question as a whole, because it comes up over and over and over again when we get to the Instagram questions about how I dealt with duties and taxes and how I got everything back. So I'll do it as a whole to make it easier for everybody. So when you go overseas and come back, or you went to Australia for the first time ever, there are big signs and lots of declarations and lots of literature about how Australia is a country where we are very careful with our agriculture and livestock and our biodiverse industry. I'll get there in a minute. So agriculture is our thing, essentially. So most of the warnings you get are based around no food items, don't bring plants in, animals, dirt, all of those kind of things. We are very, very careful about those kinds of things. When you watch shows like Border Security, all the people who get stopped are generally for drugs or for bringing food in that you should not be bringing in. So if it's pre-packaged lollies, they don't care, but as soon as you start bringing in organic foods and materials from other countries, they get very cranky about it, because we have a strong agriculture based industry here, and anything upsets our environment or introduces something new into the environment can then wipe out an entire crop or a livestock or whatever. So we're very careful about that. So that is what all the literature is about. As a tiny little clause that they only put on the declaration card, and we still do declaration cards, like written cards, when you enter the country. There is one line about goods that you buy overseas. So there's lines about prohibited drugs and that kind of stuff. Fine, are you bringing any of that in? And then there's a line about alcohol and cigarettes, and are you bringing any of that in? And then the line is, number 3 is, Goods obtained overseas or purchased duty and or tax free in Australia with a combined total price of more than $900 including gifts. And you have to declare if you have any of those or not. If you declare you do, then you will probably be stuck with duties. You will go through, possibly pay duties on it, and duties in Australia I think is about 10%, 10 or 11%, something like that. So if you have claimed the VAT back in Paris and then you get home to Australia and you pay the 10%, you'll probably come out maybe 1% or so in front. So there's a few issues with that point. First of all, it needs punctuation. Second, because it doesn't have any punctuation, it drives me nuts. Secondly is Australia is not linked to the Paris, the French or European system like the US is now saying that they are, where they get notification on the passport to say, hey, this person has claimed VAT back in Paris, be very careful. There is a reason for that, and this only exists in my own mind, but hear me out on this. This is why I think Australia don't focus so much on this one point. In order to get to Australia, it is generally 2 flights. If you're coming out of an Asian country, disregard all of this because you can fly direct from there to here, and they will probably be more on that point about the goods that you bought overseas if you are flying direct. If you're coming out of Europe or America, it's generally 2 flights. Generally 2 flights. And there is no way for them to dispute certain things. So I always, and I spend a lot of time saying to Dayle, how are they going to prove it? How are they going to prove it? Because I don't bring boxes home or receipts or any of that. So I simply pack my goods in their dust bags and get them home. But that's also how I pack them on the way out. So the bags that I'm taking with me overseas don't look any different to the bags that I'm bringing back. How are they going to prove it? They can't prove that I didn't take them with me. So it's very hard for them to come at me and say, you need to pay duties on that item, because how do they know what I took and what I brought back? That's their first problem. Their second problem is that if I'm coming home through another country, how do they know it's not a used item at that point? Because there is no caveat on this point that says it's only for goods that you purchased on this trip. This leaves it wide open. It's saying any trip. So if I take a bag that I bought 10 years ago overseas and bring it back, realistically, I should be ticking that box to say, yes, I am bringing goods that I purchased overseas back into the country, going to and that's not what they mean. I know that's not what they mean, but that's not what the question says. So I could quite easily get to Dubai or wherever my flight is being broken up, get everything out, take it all out, use it, put it all back in. It's no longer a new item. So do I need to pay duties on that if it's no longer a new item? Because I don't think that's what they mean. So I think Australia is not focused on this particular issue with bringing goods back in. I think they run into a few issues with trying to enforce it, in that we are so far away from a lot of stuff that they can't prove it. They can't not say that I didn't use it on the way back. So it's not a new item anymore. I've got items that I bought overseas previously. The question is not worded well. So I generally don't declare on the way back into Australia, because how are they going to prove it? This is what I do. I do not encourage anybody to do what I do. I encourage you to make your own decisions. At the end of the day, if I get caught and they charge me duties, I'm willing to pay it. If there's a fine, I will pay it. I wear all of that. I understand going in what I am doing is probably not what they mean, but I am built so much like I am that I feel like I can argue the toss on it, because it is not laid out well. They have not asked the question well. It needs punctuation, and there is far too much room to move in. How do they prove that this is a new item? If we eventually link up with the European system where it tells them that I am claiming VAT there, I might have a secondary problem, but I'm still coming in through a different country. I am still flying, however many hours I am. I think Australia will always struggle with this because we are so far from everywhere else. It is not a direct flight to a lot of places. If you are going to an Asian country and buying a lot, please be very careful with what I am saying, because it is a direct flight. If you are traveling with boxes and receipts and you are packaging it and is new, you can't argue that. if you want to do what I do, where I don't declare anything, then you really need to own it and go, I might get caught on the other end, but can they prove that this is a new item? How will they do that? If I don't have any boxes and any receipts, how are they going to do that? So that is my answer to that question. It is completely honest. It may well come back to bite me in the backside because I'm now on camera saying it, and any customs officers ever see me coming back through Sydney, they're going to go, huh. But once again, I say, how are they going to prove it? So yes, that's what I do coming back into Sydney. Do I suggest you do it? No, I am not giving you advice. I am telling you what I do. Please don't get yourselves into trouble. And if you are going to do what I do, accept my disclaimer that says, if it all goes wrong, you will get a fine and you will end up having to pay those duties. Okay, so just be really aware of that. Okay. Charlie Marin 5866. Dayle mentioned you have ways at the end of the night. What are they? Pet peeves with friends. Mine is when a friend loves to try on my clothes and borrowing things from me. I hate to share my things. Might be selfish, but I don't like people wearing the things I worked hard for. That's fair. Dayle and I didn't share clothes, shoes. I would most certainly lend her anything she needed. If she had needed a bag, if she had needed shoes, because I think we're the same size just about. If she needed anything, I would happily let her borrow them. I don't have a problem with that, but I understand people feel differently. I have a problem if I haven't used it yet. So I don't like to lend things out that I haven't had a chance to use yet, but if I've already used it, then I'm pretty easygoing with my stuff, even my luxury handbags. I don't mind. The pet peeves. No, I don't like indecision. If I ask a question like, what do you want to, like, do you want to do this? I prefer a yes or a no to a, oh, well, if you want to do it, like, just give me a yes or a no. I will sit fine with either answer. If I'm posing the question, I'm prepared for either answer. Indecision kills me. I can't cope across in any world. I'm not saying that that's Dayle. I'm just saying when I travel with anyone and when even in my day-to-day life, I just give me an answer. I don't like indecision. It drives me nuts. Dayle mentioned you have your ways. Yes, I do. So Mr. Lux did say to me, you're going to have to give Dayle a heads up that there's a few things you do that she needs to be aware of. And I'm going to now put it on camera, which is just fantastic. This is great. So I have, and some people have noticed this in my YouTube videos, and some people have been very cruel about it, and that's fine. I put myself out there on video. I expect I'm going to get backlash. I'm going to get bad feedback sometimes, or people are going to say nasty things. So one of my eyes does not open as wide as the other one. It's not a lazy eye, like it doesn't wander off, but I have muscle issues in one of my eyes. It is years and years of stress, working at a computer, long years of no sleep with children, and it gets worse the older I get, and I imagine at some point it will be very noticeable. The more tired I am, the more noticeable it is. Like one eye will blink, the other one won't. It's a muscle thing, and people have made fun of my lazy eye on YouTube several times, and I understand it's a thing, and if I am tired, it is most certainly worse. But when I get very tired at the end of the night, my husband makes fun of me because I will do this weird blink thing, like where I basically blink one eye and then the other eye. He calls it the lizard blink or the alien blink, because one eye blinks and then the other eye blinks, and and then he'll say to me, it's time for bed. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you're tired. Like that's basically my cue that you're tired and you need to go to sleep now. That you get this weird eye blink thing. So that's something I do. So I warned Dayle about that. I said, if my eyes are real strange, it's because it's a sign that I'm tired. And often when I travel, I do it a lot because I'm on different time zones and you're jet lagged. And yeah, so that's one thing. And then the other thing, which I'm just can't believe I'm ever going to tell you this on camera, but I will anyway. So my husband says I have like this power saver mode that happens. So the last thing I do every night as I'm going to sleep, and he knows, and that's when he knows I've gone to sleep, is I make this tiny little, well, sometimes it's quite loud, this sound where I go, oh, and then it's like I've gone into power saver mode. So I just make this, the last thing I do is make this little sound, and then I go to sleep essentially. And sometimes it's loud and I wake myself up doing it. So I know that I do this. So yes, I did warn Dayle about those two things because I said if I get tired then I'll do this weird eye blink thing, and if you hear me when we're in the apartment like kind of cry out, don't worry, I'm switching off for the night. So yes, they're the things that I told Dayle to be aware of, because Mr. Lux is like, you have to tell her so she doesn't freak out. I'm like, okay. Irene Boyer 1481, is there anything you would do different next trip? No, I'd spend more time in Paris. There's always time. I just want more time. And Mary Newen 9365, I don't pack when leaving home, go with an empty suitcase and come back with it filled. Well, that's a really good tip, yes. If you can do that, then that's great. I have no ability to do that. I take everything, like I said. All right, let's move over to the Instagram questions. So, Emma Lorat, did you have to book the Louis tour or was it offered to you as a prolific customer? So that was offered to me. You can't book it. I don't even think you can request. I mean, you could certainly request it, but it's rare. So I was talking about going to Paris, and one of my sales associate said, would you like to do the house? And I was like, excuse me? Is that a thing? And they set it up for me. So I didn't even approach them about it. They asked me, and then I was most certainly a yes. You most certainly could ask if you have status at your store. It is not offered to anyone who is not a VIP or a VIC. And even VIPs and VICs, it's not automatic. So I know that there were people that wanted to go while we were in Paris who were refused the chance to go. But we were there during Paris week. It was during fashion week, it was very busy in Paris. So yeah, just because you ask even at a VIP level doesn't mean you'll get to do it. And I would be very surprised if it was ever offered to me again. It was really a once in a lifetime experience. Emma also asked, how far in advance did you make the Hermes appointment? It was made for me by the Sydney store, and that was by the director of the store. She made it. Once again, it is not guaranteed. They said that they would request, but it was most certainly not a guarantee, and I had confirmation a week out. So it was only a week before. It has to be made by the director of the store, and Paris won't necessarily take the request. So there are no guarantees with that. Golf Mama, what would you pack that you didn't? And what did you take that was a waste of space? Waste of space. So waste of space, I took my Louis Vuitton cardigan, my big grey one, all the way with me, and I didn't use it, but I didn't know it was going to be as warm as it was. So yes, it was a waste of space, but I didn't know that at the time of packing it. What would I pack that I didn't? I don't have a single thing that I should have taken that I didn't, because I pack so much. I allow for every single contingency. So, well, having said that, I had to buy a dress to wear to Louis Vuitton because it was warmer than I thought it was going to be. So maybe I would have taken just a summer dress. I packed for more of a cooler climate, and I wish I would have thrown in a summer dress. So yeah, probably a summer dress. ICUO88, minus the luxury shopping and brand experiences, what was your favorite site and moment? The spending time with the luxury YouTubers, definitely, and getting to meet a lot of the people that I've talked to but never had a chance to meet, certainly. In terms of site, there wasn't anything I saw that I hadn't seen previously, but the Eiffel Tower lit up is always an amazing thing. Like, you can't, I don't know, there's nothing that compares to that. Seeing the Eiffel Tower sparkle at night is quite amazing. Laura CHGO, favorite holiday purchase. So I've already covered that. Laura also asked best and worst boutique experiences. So my best boutique experience was, well, I had great experiences at most places. So Fendi, New Bond Street, Louis Vuitton, New Bond Street, Louis Vuitton Vendôme, Chanel in Paris was fantastic. Couldn't fault any of those. Worst experiences, Goyard, because I couldn't get in the door. There you go. Connor. Connor is my good friend. He's a P and he has a YouTube channel here. I will link him down below. If you were only able to shop at one store in Paris, where would you go, excluding Hermes? Louis Vuitton. Always and forever. Chantilly 25. Are you tempted to go back to Europe for shopping? Yeah, always. Absolutely. I will go back to Europe to shop. Probably not next year. Next year is New York. I'll probably go the year after. So Mon Join Brizzy asks, why didn't you get Twillies for your Birkins and other silks? And then she asked a few questions about duties and GST, which I've already covered. So she didn't offer them to me, and they really didn't have a lot of silks. And it was the end of the appointment when we did the bags. If she'd done the bags first in the appointment, which would have defeated the purpose for having her want me to spend money. But I was at that point, I was done. I was really spent by the whole experience, so I didn't push the point of Twillies. I actually have Twillies for my bag now. They're going to be unboxed, but yeah, it was just, they didn't have a lot of stock of any of the silks, and by the point when we got the bags, I was emotionally spent. I wasn't going to ask her to then do Twillies as well. I was over it. All right, so Sandy Rambold asks, so from the London ladies you were with, except for Dayle, who was the most similar taste to you? So even if I take Dayle into consideration, Amelia Rose has the most similar taste to me in terms of bags. She and I share a lot of commonalities in who we are. We spent a lot of time, she'd say something and I'd go, oh, me too. And then I'd say something, she'd go, me too. So we found a lot of common ground. So I would say of all the ladies I met over that time, Dayle and I are very similar, but we also have very broad differences, and that's what makes us great friends. Amelia, I look at and I go, I can see very close similarities in our taste and who we are as people and the way we conduct ourselves. I can definitely see that we are very similar like that. She also asked, were any of the ladies from London? So Hannah is from London. I will link her channel down below. Leslie, I think, is from London. A lot of them are from, might not be right in the middle of London, but they are in that area. Sandy also asks, where did you stay? Did you have afternoon tea? So yes, we had afternoon tea at the Ritz, and we vlogged that. And we stayed at the Rubens on the Palace, which is just behind the Muse there. Lucy KO said, did your trip meet your expectations? Yes, I had a fabulous time. I can't fault it. Liz Zick asked, did you pack the appropriate shoes? These are the important questions. Yes, they are the important questions. I did. I packed 5 pairs of shoes and a pair of thongs, because you aren't allowed to leave Australia without a pair of thongs. It's a national policy. I'm being facetious. So yes, I did. I packed a pair of Colibris as heels, and I packed a lot of Avaya shoes. Actually, I own a lot of Avaya shoes and I love them, and I actually have a collaboration coming up with them soon, but I had their shoes long before the collaboration. They're lightweight and they're super comfortable. So the rest of my shoes were all Avaya shoes. Lizik also asks, your best and worst meals on the trip. So worst was probably the stuff that I ate on the go. So I had a toasted cheese sandwich from Pret. I had a hamburger from Shake Shack the first night I was there. I wasn't all that impressed with it. So that was probably the worst. The best meals I had were the baked dinner we had in London, which was amazing, and the sandwich we had at the Peninsula Hotel, which was just amazing. So they were my favorite meals. Okay, Lee Lemmy asks, how many suitcases did you bring? So I had 2 big suitcases plus a carry-on suitcase, and then I had an extra duffel bag as well. Next we have Jenny Willie. Hi, what's something that you learned about yourself on this trip? I learn something about myself every time I travel, whether I travel with other people or whether I travel on my own. It's one of the best things about travel. You will always learn about yourself, and that's one of my favorite things. On this trip, I learned I'm probably more laid back than I actually think that I am. So generally when I travel, especially on my own, I've got to be super organized and on it, and I'm planning for myself and I have a plan in my head and it's all good. When I travel with other people, I am generally the ringleader, the travel guide, the person who's in charge of everything. That's how I like it, especially with my husband, my children. So I will be the person who's running everything, and I'm in charge, and this is what's happening. And I've got to be really organized. I knew I was traveling with Dayle this time, and Dayle is very similar to me in that she is super organized and she's on it and she does the research about everything. So I actually found I relaxed a little bit on this trip, and I just kind of let her take the lead. She's very good with, I'll order an Uber and I'll do this and I'll do that. So I was just like, sweet, I'm good with that. So I kind of relaxed a little bit into it, and I was more laid back than I generally am. So I learned that about myself, that I can let someone else take the lead, and I'm all right with that. So I don't know how she felt about that, but I was good with it. So yeah, so that's what I learned about myself this trip. Someone asked, Yen asked, how did you get a VIP appointment for FSH? So that was set up through the Sydney store, through the store director. Once again, I didn't ask, they offered, and then they had to seek approval from FSH. So it's a process, but I most certainly didn't ask. It was offered to me. I talked about how I was going to Paris, and my sales associate said, would you be interested if we did this for you? But I didn't ask. Lizzie Scarlett, what time of year do you recommend traveling to Paris? I've only been twice. The first time it was January. It was snowy and stunning and beautiful. And this time it was obviously Fashion Week. I think if I was going to go again, I'd go in the front end of the year. So maybe around May. Or even April, May, rather than the back end of the year. Although I've got to say, seeing it in snow and winter was just stunningly beautiful. So I did enjoy that when I did it. Lizzie also asked, were you able to get a photo of the famous stairs at Chanel? No. So the sales associate, when we were walking out, said, do you want to come see the staircase? And Dayle and I said, yes, definitely, we want a photo. And then the security guard waved them off. So it was Fashion Week. We assumed that there was a VIP or a celebrity or someone upstairs at that point, and they weren't allowing people onto the staircase, so we didn't end up getting a photo. And she also asked, did you get the full luxe experience in Chanel? It wasn't a luxe experience. They gave us champagne. We got shopping done. But it wasn't a VIP appointment by any stretch of the imagination. It was just a standard appointment. They were nice. They had stock. They were perfectly lovely, so no issues, but I don't know if you'd call it a full luxe experience. Zeora, I think, 4250. How does the Amazon travel bag and luggage strap work? The Amazon travel bag, the suitcase, is fantastic. I love it. It was just amazing. I will do a review of the things that I used and loved soon. The luggage straps did work. I should have used them in Paris when I was struggling with my luggage, but I didn't, and that was my fault. I was stupid. I should have stopped and strapped the suitcases together. It would have made my life easier. So they do work, but you've got to use them. Capellisa, what, if anything, would you do differently at your Hermes visit in Paris? You know what? Unpopular opinion. If I went back to Paris, when I go back to Paris, I don't know if I will necessarily want another VIP appointment. I don't know. I know people will be going, but you got a bag. You got the bag that you wanted. Yes, I did. I really did. But it was a stressful experience that didn't bring me a huge amount of joy other than the bag. And the things I purchased are lovely and I love them, but it was not a joyous experience for me, not like a lot of the other experiences that I had. So it wasn't a joyous thing for me. I would go into Hermes and I would possibly buy things. I would certainly try for the lottery system, which is very much just what bag do you want. But in terms of a VIP appointment, going to the Sydney store where I shop brings me huge amounts of joy. Like, I love my sales associate. I love the store. The staff are beautiful. I always have a great experience. I feel calm and at peace there. I don't feel pressure to buy things, and I didn't have any of that in Paris. So I'm not 100% sure if I would do another VIP appointment, even if it were offered to me, because it didn't bring me joy. So yeah, I know it's an unpopular opinion and it might sound a little ungrateful, but that's kind of how I'm feeling about Hermes in Paris at the moment. Haley001, what are the ways to pay for high value items internationally without conversion fees? I don't know, but if you find it, can you let me know? So I use my Amex most of the time when I travel. I like to get the points for it anyway, and it's a convenient way to just buy things and not have to worry about them. I do now have a Resolute card that Amelia Rose has put me onto from Amelia Rose's Closet. So, and that is an easy travel card that you can just move money onto. So I'm going to give that a whirl when I go to New York next year and see if that makes life a little bit easier. But yeah, in terms of not having conversion fees, I don't know if there is a way to work around them, but if there is, feel free to share it. Lisa Alara, favorite foods in each city. So I've talked about that, the baked dinner in London and the sandwich at the Peninsula in Paris. LV Ivory-Cuisson, that's not even close, I apologize. Is first class worth it or business class is quite close? I will be perfectly honest, I've never flown business class. I've flown economy and I have flown, I've never flown business class. I've only flown economy and first. So I can't compare it other than the fact I've walked through business class. I like first class for the reasons I outlined earlier. I like my own little pod. I like to be able to close the door. And on Emirates, I like having a shower. What's the thick tighten us? What's the tastiest thing you ate of all your travels? So definitely the baked dinner in London. I'm a simple person for the most part. I do like fine dining. My husband makes fun of me because I'm either fine dining or give me a happy meal. But a good baked dinner takes me back to my grandmother, who I still miss her baked dinners. And that's what we did every Sunday. We'd go to my grandparents' house and she'd make a baked dinner. So to have a proper baked dinner brings me great joy. Butterfly0052, how did you adjust to the time zone changes? Give you so much credit. You just push through. You got to keep going. You just do. Like, if you come back tired, you sleep on the plane. This is your trip. Make the most of it while you're there. Suck it up and get through. Zoe AU, do you declare bags through customs? Did you use a travel card to avoid fees? So I've talked about both of those. Nola Wine Girl, what was your best meal from the holiday? We've done that. You guys are really interested in the food, which is fine. Wamija 39, do you prefer to travel in a group or independently? I'm good either way. I'm probably better on my own than I am in a group with someone else, one other person. I'm not too bad. Once you start to get into big groups, having to move as a group, I'm not good with that. Like, I'm someone who's like, what are you doing today? All right, cool. I'm going to go do something else and I'll see you guys later. But I can't do we're all going to be together the whole time. That does not work for me. It's never going to work for me. And I'm very good on my own. So yeah, on my own or with one other person, I'm good. Once we get beyond that, if they're not my children that I'm working with or my family, then I'm not good. I can't do big groups. Brian Lung Warrior, no question. Just wanted to say how much I love your channel. Thank you. Steve Jensen wants to know how I organize the trip for the LV house, and I assume it's VIPs only. So yes, I've talked about that. Declan Watts wants to know how does bringing back luxury goods into Australia work? Did customs have to inspect? So I've talked about that. I will say on the way back in, I handed my declaration over and I was still sent for secondary screening, which was fine. I got my trolley around there. They screened everything, went through my suitcases, and they still passed me out. So I actually went through secondary screening and I still didn't have any issues. My Michaelson, did you have any luxury items in any of the cities that just simply got away and you regret not buying? Yeah, there are a couple. There are a few things I bought when I got back that I should have bought over there, but I did what Dayle says you shouldn't do. I didn't buy it when I saw it because we were in London and then I couldn't get it in Paris. So that happened, but I've got it here in Australia and it cost me the same amount of money. So at the end of the day, I ended up with it. There's a jacket that I wish I would have bought from Louis Vuitton. If I had endless money, there were lots of things that I could have bought, but those were the things that probably got away. She also asked, was there any other quota bags that were offered to you before the one was revealed? No. So this was the only one that she showed me. I don't know if From memory, I don't feel like she had another box there. I feel like this was the only box she had. So she was pretty much backing that she was right, and she was. So yeah, there was nothing else that was offered to us. And then you asked how much was my ostrich Birkin. Hang on, let me see if I can find the receipt. I can't find the receipt. For those of you who are aware, I've recently changed my entire room around and I have a massive crate of receipts and I just throw everything in there, and I feel like when I transferred it, all the new ones are on the bottom. So I don't know. I know that when I did the math when we were in Paris, it saved me several $1,000s to buy this in Paris instead of getting it here. I feel like it was around low 20s. So I feel like I saved a fair bit of money getting it in Paris, but I don't have an exact number. I'm really sorry. I'd have to find the receipt, and my receipt keeping system is not a good one. So yes. Starring La Thomas, my US essay says that there's no way to set me up a VIP appointment in Paris. How did you do yours? It's the store director. You're gonna have to you have to get to the store director essentially. So your sales associate has to want to put it through to the store director, and the store director has to want to then go to Paris and ask for you. So it's not a guarantee, and even if you get in their face about it, they can quite easily say no, they're not going to do it, and Paris can certainly say no. I didn't ask, it was offered to me. So I feel like that's probably an important thing to note as well. He also asked, how did you get everything back? I want to keep my boxes. If you want to keep your boxes, you're going to have to send them ahead of time if you don't want to get stung with duties on the way back. Dayle DHL some of her boxes home, but it was gone through by customs in Germany and wasn't treated very nicely. So really, you got to make a choice. If you want the boxes, then you make the choice to try and work out how to get them back, or to get everything into your suitcase and understand you're going to be paying duties and taxes when you get back. It's a choice. James Taylor, who is the fabulous sales associate, James from Louis Vuitton in New Bond Street, asked, when are you coming back to sunny London? Oh, James, not anytime soon, but when I do, I will most certainly be in touch. James is a fabulous sales associate. He works out of New Bond Street. So if you're going to Louis Vuitton in New Bond Street, you want to ask for James because he's amazing. And then GRLVJ, favorite moment in each city. So meeting the YouTubers definitely was my favorite moment in London, and in Paris, my favorite moment was just being at the Louis Vuitton house. That whole part of that day was magical, like just absolutely magical. I can't explain it. It's surreal and magical. So that was most certainly my favorite part of Paris. Just being in the house and having that experience was just amazing. So yeah, definitely that. I think that's all of them. I'm sorry if I missed your question. I've done my best. There were a lot of questions, and I really hope this video isn't 7 hours long, but yes, I had a fabulous trip. It was an amazing experience. I hope I've given you guys some insight into how I deal with customs coming back into Australia. I hope I won't end up in jail over that, but there are certainly some things to consider with Australia. Australia is very different to other countries, so please do not take what I'm doing here in Australia and try and translate it into your country. I don't want anyone ending up in jail. If you are Australian and you're listening to what I say, please don't take it as advice. It's what I'm doing when I come back into the country, and how I rationalize it and justify it in my own head, and how I know I'm going to articulate my argument if I have an issue on the other side. But I also know that if I articulate my argument, at the end of the day, they're customs officers. If they say I owe them money, then I'm probably going to owe them money. So I understand all of that. So please be very, very wary of what you do, and be aware of the process of how you're getting into Australia. Do not bring in food items. They get very cranky about that. So yeah, I hope it's given you some insight into my trip and what I do, and that you've enjoyed it. If you have liked today's video, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below. It means a lot to a content creator when you hit that subscribe button. Please also hit the little bell notification so you know when I've uploaded videos, which is usually 3 times a week. I'll also throw up my Instagram handle for you so you can come follow me over there. I put lots up in real time, lots around my collection and my day-to-day life, so please come follow me over there. I hope wherever you are in the world today, you are having a fabulous day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.